Hi, welcome to Turn-Based Besties, a podcast where two grown adults with no free time talk about their favorite RPGs. I'm DJ.
And I'm Sam, and we're besties that love to game.
Whenever I say two grown adults with no free time, I always want to say two grown-ass adults with no free time, but then I'm afraid that people will get mad by that. So
We'll
I
be
might I might
totally
bleep that out.
PG-13.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
just
PG-13.
bleep it.
We can
Just
bleep. That's fine.
seeing as what we talk about is like what 14-year-olds would probably care the most about. Maybe we keep it as PG as possible,
I
or
guess. I
12-year-olds.
mean, if our audience is just 14-year-olds, I mean, that's cool. Thanks, Gen Alpha, but I'd be kind of sad if it was just them.
You're right. I mean, we're kind of trying to talk to people that are similar to us. So
Yeah.
hopefully we find some people that are similar to us. But
Millennial core.
that's right. What was your day like today on this fine Monday, this MLK day?
Oh yeah. Happy Martin Luther King Day. I mean, it'll be past that when the episode
Much
goes
past that.
out, but that's okay. Not a lot. I taught a little bit today, and then I came home and then I reviewed the episode that we're recording right now.
Very good. Is it 0 degrees there too? Or I'm
Um,
assuming not
I
because of
think
the ocean.
it wouldn't that be really nice? For those of you who don't know, I live in Seattle and live close to the water, but it's actually pretty cold here still, right? I mean, cold for Seattle. It's
Let
30,
me,
it's
it's how
31.
how much? 31.
31,
Okay.
which is
So
cold
I
for
live in
Seattle.
the Midwest, Kansas City. It is 2.
It's just two.
Just 2. We're going single digits.
I
Um,
don't want to be there. That's why I moved from that place.
it did not get above 0 yesterday. Did not get to positive digits yesterday. But anyway,
That's
so our
nice.
goal on a day when it is single digits or colder and kids are off school, daycare because of MLK Day was to what do we do? What do we do with our day? You can't go outside. What do you do? So we went to a science centery place, which was pretty awesome. So they've got places to climb around. They've got places to play little sports type things. They've got a little market, fake market with plastic vegetables and stuff. And they've got like a little water zone that you can affect the flow of water and you can make balls and things float down. And it's pretty cool. So
Cute. Oh, that's
yeah, so that was
fun.
fun.
I mean, I
But
bet you also had a lot of fun like playing with all that stuff too.
it's pretty fun.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie. Got some pretty good looking vegetables.
I do. Okay, that's great.
No, but no, so it's good. That's kind of a life with a 5-year-old now and a 2-year-old is kind of what you do. So that's for people that don't know, I have a 5 and a 2-year-old, and they are a big part of my life, obviously, and a big part of why I don't play as many games as many other people. And so those two kiddos are great, even though, yeah, like I said, I don't get to play as many games. But some quick, funny quips about the two of them. They like to play charades. Maybe saw a couple little
Oh
things that I
yeah.
was going to chat about to remind myself. They like to play charades. Primarily, it's animals. Sometimes it's Disney characters, whatever else. Um, and Jay, the 2-year-old, doesn't quite get some parts of it. So when he's acting out what he's doing, one time he just started going, "Ah, ah." Then he says, gorilla, gorilla, gorilla. Ah." So, he helps you out. He gives you a clue. And so that was cute. And then for N, our newly 5-year-old, she has been very inquisitive and it's very cute and I love it. And she will say, we'll be driving to school or something, and something will pique her interest. And so one day it was, Daddy, tell me everything you know about bacteria. And I know a little bit about bacteria. I don't know how much a 5-year-old would be interested in, but it was great. So sometimes it's that, sometimes it's Daddy, tell me everything you know about fog. And so it's fun things like that. I don't know how much she holds on to, but I love it. That's a great part of fatherhood and parenthood is to get those kind of questions and just to try to chat about it. It's fun.
She's so
But anyway,
inquisitive, so
she's so inquisitive.
inquisitive. Oh, I feel like we need to have every episode open up with what's a new question that N asked you? Daddy, tell
it
me everything about
Daddy
subject.
told me everything. Yeah. And yeah, no, there she would have a new one. She would have a new one. And I'll keep track of it.
Yeah, that'd be really
That is
cute.
a that could be the opening segment.
Daddy, tell me
But
everything about. Well, I had a similar experience, except that I didn't because I don't have kids. So I took a small nap today, which was really cool to be able to do when
Jelly.
when you don't have kids. I was telling you the other night too that we took a pre-bed nap on the couch, which Sam is rolling his eyes at me. It was so great. At about like 9:45, we're like, let's just take a small little pre-bed couch nap just to like get us ready for bed. And then at about 11:30, we were like, maybe we should go to bed.
I'm laughing now, but like I said, when our third comes here in a few months, just don't bring that up to me.
I
It won't go well. I will be so sleep deprived that who knows what I'll say or do.
It'll be so much
So
fun. You'll be great on the pod like at that
oh,
time.
I'll be so cheery on the podcast. I won't remember anything we talk about, and it'll be great.
Oh, well, speaking of a podcast, what are we talking about today?
Well, today, potentially a little late, or some people could say that it's just in time. We are talking about our favorite games that we played in 2023. Not necessarily that they came out in 2023, but our favorite games that we played. Although I believe all mine came out in 2023. I think you're the one that needs the asterisk.
Yeah, none of mine actually came out in 2023. So sorry about that. 2023 had great games, and we'll discuss in a moment that there's one game that both of us was it's in our top three. I'm actually not going to talk about it. That did come out in 2023. But yeah, I have, just a few more retro games that I played this
It's
year.
pretty on brand though. Yeah, you're more into retro games.
Yeah.
I get frustrated by quality of life aspects that have been lost, were lost in time or found in time as we got more progressive here or more recent. So yeah, so let's chat about our favorite games. We're each going to give our top three games of 2023, starting with number three, counting down to number one, and we'll kind of go back and forth to build the suspense there because that's what we're going for.
Ooh,
Um, I guess based on our outline, do I go first?
you
Is
sure
that the
do.
Perfect. Okay. So Sam, will go first with my number three game of 2023, which was Star Ocean's Second Story R. So that's the one we
Woo!
talked about the whole last episode. So, if you our listeners will know everything we thought about that. And it was just such a fun game. I think that's really what outlines it for me is that it was fun. The um I never played the first one. So, and I actually had only dabbled just a little bit in one other Star Ocean game, so I was pretty new to the series. But I mean, it just hooked me. The visuals were great. The music was just really fantastic, and it was that visual style, that 2D 3D that we chatted about before.
Yeah.
The character stories. I'm not one that's always into character stories, but it's got that sci-fi element that hooked me too. I love sci-fi. And then really though, it was the gameplay, the fast, relatively fast action RPG gameplay, and how many different things you could upgrade and improve with SP and BP, and that was just addictive. You'd want to go back and grind more battles and chain them together to get more SP and BP to dump it into your different skills and specialty skills and get more abilities. And it was just so much fun to be able to do that over and over again. And then the battling itself was fun too. And then you'd upgrade everything and then you'd go back and do it again. And that loop just kept on going. And then you have the story beats, and that was just so much fun. So really for me, and then it got challenging at the end too. And I like the challenge. And so there, if I did the final dungeon, was extremely challenging. but made you use all those systems that you'd been working towards. And so it was really a winner for me. Not necessarily that I expected it. I was always going to play it because it's one of DJ's favorite games, if not his favorite game ever. And so I was always going to play it, and it really, really hooked me. And I was surprised by that, but really happy about that. So
Right.
everything you did, you could build on, and everything you did was meaningful. And so uh huge game there for me.
Do you think it encouraged you to want to look into any of the other Star Ocean games in the future? Not right now, I know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, speaking to the they fix a lot of the quality of life things, I think, in this remake. So I would give pause maybe to going back to the first one again and whatever else. I The one I'm most interested in would probably be Divine Force, the most recent one, just because it's so recent, and I think probably the quality of life stuff that I would look for would be most likely be there. So that would
I'd
be one that
say.
I'm definitely interested in, and um I could see myself absolutely playing. And plus, just the action combat seemed fun. I've watched some reviews for it, and the traversal and how you can move around and kind of fly around looked like a blast. So absolutely yes. And if I looked into any, it would probably be the Divine Force.
The Divine Force is my second favorite Star Ocean game.
Really?
Yeah, it
Okay.
totally
Well,
is.
good.
And I think, for some of the Star Ocean fans who love the entire series, I think that's a controversial take because I think everyone, you either love the second one or you love the third one, and it's either everyone ranks 2 3 or 3 2, and then after that Divine Force. But I didn't love Star Ocean 3 a ton.
Mm.
We'll talk about that in a future episode probably. But yeah, that's interesting though. I think you'd really like Divine Force. It was kind of like the modern Star Ocean 2 in a lot of ways. The fact that it even brought back the dual protagonists.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed very, very similar when I was watching some reviews on it. So yeah, I think I'd have a good time with it.
Cool. All
All
right.
right, DJ, tell us
All
what's your
right.
number three?
So this is a deep cut. Um, so my number three is called God, Growth or De-Evolution. Heed the Call to Awaken. That's a really long title because I did not want to butcher the Japanese title. And it was released on the SNES in 1996. So super deep cut. If
I almost guessed it on my outline that I made for the episode. I was very
Yeah,
close.
did you?
I
Oh
was that
yeah.
close. No.
So another like risky statement here is for anybody who's listening, if you liked Earthbound on the SNES, then you need to go play God because I actually think it's slightly better than Earthbound.
Ooh, I was wondering where the risky statement was, but the better than I thought you were just gonna make a if you like that, you will like this. Ooh, better than.
I actually think you'll like it a little bit better. So first off,
Ooh.
the game was never it never received a localization and it was never released officially outside of Japan, much like Live Alive until 2 years ago. So it got an English patch by I forget the company. So the only way to play this, if you are an English speaker, is you have to attach the English patch. Additionally, and this might sound like cheating, there's something called an easy mode patch that cuts the encounter rate down by 50% and ups the experience by 50%. And I see Sam who's like, no, like I'm gonna go hard, like I'm gonna do it the real way. If you're gonna play this game, you need to do the easy mode patch. The encounter rate is wild without this patch. I'm talking every 2 steps, every 2 to 3 steps, a new random battle. Yeah, it's I played it for about 10 minutes without the easy mode patch, and I was like, nope, I cannot do this. It felt like it was unnecessarily padding the game. It's wearing its 1996 on its sleeve. So so I think do the English patch, do the easy patch. You'll have a lot of fun with this one. So with that out of the way, after like a quick prologue, your character wakes up like 10 years later with amnesia in 2009, and you are enlisted to help fight this ongoing war with aliens. So that's where the connection starts with Earthbound, is that it's a group of like teens or a group of young adults versus aliens. What makes this story and world, I think, even cooler is that it takes place in the real world. So you start out and you're stuck in Japan, but pretty soon you get the ability to travel the world and you go to places like Manhattan and LA and Russia and I think France. And everybody you talk to has accents from the countries. And some of them are a little an interesting choice to make them have accents, but they're funny still. Like the French one was pretty funny to read someone to read all the French dialogue. Um, and you get to see the destruction the aliens have caused. The story has that same weird charm as Earthbound, but for me, it's the battle system that made me like it a little bit more than Earthbound. So the battle system is the over-the-shoulder view, similar to Phantasy Star 2 or 4. And while each character, by the way, you get 5 different characters, up to 4 can be in battle with you. Each character gets a few special skills when they level up. It's this hybrid of a magic or job system. They call it the chakra system in the game that lets you customize each character. So
Mm.
it's really, really fun. It's your typical 90s JRPG in that you have random battles. So just know that going in. I know that can be really annoying in 2024 to have random battles. Um, it was never brought over to the US, and some folks have speculated. Do you ever follow SNES Drunk on YouTube?
Can't say I have.
The fun YouTube channel. He speculates that since it's such a text-heavy game, and that it was at the kind of end of the life of the Super Nintendo in 1996, that it would have been too big of an undertaking for someone to relocalize it.
Ooh,
I have a few other ideas as to why it was never brought over. So the
the
US,
French.
it was the French. It was because of the French. I mean, no, but so especially in the 90s, the US hated anything that was anti-Christian or anti-religious in a game. And
Ooh.
the game is literally called God. And I don't want to spoil anything, but if you're super religious, the end boss might be offensive to you. Plus, there's a certain death that happens in the game that shocked me in 2023. And I can imagine it would have been really shocking to witness that on a Super Nintendo game in 1996. Oh,
Oh.
and the United States, they are definitely depicted as villains in the game. And there's no way that a change with the localization would would change that at all. Like
Mm.
they are they're some of the bad guys. So yeah, it's an excellent 40-hour-ish JRPG that definitely shows its age, but holy hell, it is absolutely worth a play if you like games like Earthbound. Ah,
That sounds enticing. You've kind of piqued my interest. Anytime you talked about the job system and the customizability, that's something that tickles my fancy.
it's
Um,
pretty fun. It's a basic. Maybe I misspoke calling it a job system, but no, I mean it is kind of like a magic system where you don't have to have them specialize in any chakra you don't want them to specialize in.
nice. Okay.
You really
And
customize your party.
I feel like well, not most, a lot of RPGs, by the end, you're so powerful, you're fighting gods, those kind of things. But this one's just like, no, this God, you're fighting God, like you're fighting the Christian God. Like it even says that, or it's close to.
I can't give it away to anybody who wants to
Oh,
play.
sorry. Yeah, no
I
spoilers.
can't. No, I mean, it's one of those things that I'm like, if we had a YouTube channel, I would like post an image of the final battle right now so you could see all the like deity iconography there, and you could understand why the US was like, no thanks, Japan. You can keep that.
I I'm intrigued. How do you play it? What did you play it on again?
I had to emulate it, unfortunately, but I have it pre-patched with the English patch and the easy mode patch, which was kind of challenging to do at first. So I have that. I can just send it your way.
Nice. Okay. I could check that out. Time willing.
Super fun.
Um,
All right,
yeah.
what is your number 2 game of 2023 that you played in 2020?
Okay. number two game of 2023 that I also played in 2023, came out in 2023, was The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So not tears based, or sorry, not turn based. It is tears based. It's Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
Not turn based. Arguably still an RPG, an action adventure RPG. Some might say yes, some might say no.
I think we can
But
count it. You know, we count it. It's an RPG.
okay, so not turn based, still an RPG, action adventure RPG, classic Zelda. A lot of people's favorite game of the year. Did not win game of the year in most game awards that I'm aware of. But anyway, definitely up there. So it was great. You know, I personally loved the first one, Breath of the Wild. Just primarily that sense of exploration, that sense of wonder, just looking out at the landscape and going. Just it was fantastic, you know, and most of that is captured and improved upon and perfected potentially in this sequel in a way, you know. So that was just great to see. You know, visuals we'll kind of go step by step here, but it's stylized. It's going to age well. It's not hyper realistic, but that's fine, and it does fantastic on the Switch hardware. Um, light spoilers, I guess, but you can go all the way from the Sky Islands, way up in the sky. You can jump off and you can go all the way to the bottom of the depths, and you don't see a stutter, you don't see a lost frame, you don't see a hiccup, you don't see a pause, you don't have a loading screen. That's heaven. It's just fantastic. You know, that just it adds to the immersion factor a thousandfold. You're in this world. Nothing stops you from going anywhere. No loading screen at all, and that's fantastic. And it's really that sense of exploration and wonder. You think, okay, what's in this next cave? What's in this next what's over this next hill? And you go for it. So it's daunting at the beginning. You know, I heard somebody recommended just it's a lot to do. Just go hit the shrines, start going, find a shrine, do the shrine. You'll get these things. You get kind of powered up each time you do a shrine in a way, and just keep doing it. And that's true. You know, the more you do it, the more fun you have, the more powerful you get, the more weapons you get, and because it is harder. I would say it's definitely more difficult than the first one. And so
Oh
yeah, you just have to
joy.
kind of go. What did you say? Oh yeah. DJ here, who may have not loved the first one, doesn't sound excited about that next thing that I just brought up. That it's even more difficult. But let's see here. Music wise, it's kind of immersive background music for the most part. But that title track, is a banger. That title track is fantastic. If you haven't listened to it, I think the instrument in it is an earhu or something like that. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's I believe a stringed instrument, and it's pretty cool. So if you haven't listened to that one, listen to the title track for Tears of the Kingdom. Super cool. You'll probably figure out what instrument I'm talking about. The story is more so than Breath of the Wild, potentially, not a whole lot more, but more so. However, there is a kind of twist at the end, which was amazing. Just really, really captures you. Really, for me, caught me off guard. Was really, really good there at the end. Let's see. The things that are new or different to this game compared to the last one. Let me pull it up. So the fusing system was new, so you can fuse items to arrows, items to spears or other weapons, which have a myriad of different effects there, or myriad different effects, which was really fun to play with. Allows you a lot of customizability. It makes simple weapons into useful weapons. You have different magic abilities. This ultra hand ability that can move items in the air and fuse them together, and that leans into almost all the different puzzles. And the puzzles are very well thought out and in depth, and require to use all the abilities that you have. Yeah, the setting is the same. It's still Hyrule, but you have the Sky Islands, you have the depths, you have so much more play to explore. Um, and so it was just engrossing, start to finish. I looked up and I was almost 100 hours in and had finished the game, and I can literally
Woo!
remember. Yeah, I can literally remember telling somebody like, "Oh, I didn't spend that much time in the game. Like it wasn't that long." And yeah, I think it was like somewhere between 80 and 100 hours, and it did not feel like it for me. So that was good. The only negative I would say is, to me, it did not feel hugely different. It felt perfected, like I said, expanded upon than the first one. But it didn't feel hugely different than that first one. And that would be my only gripe with the game. But overall, just a stunning game that really engrosses you and makes you want to keep jumping in. Like even right now, I haven't explored all the depths, and I'm not somebody that goes back to games almost ever.
Hmm.
I might go back to just explore the rest of the depths just to do so if I had the time. So
Ooh, that speaks volumes because I know that you're not
I
a
don't.
repeat gamer.
Nah. Once I'm done with it, just put it away, log it.
Are you a repeat reader? Do you reread books that you like, or are you the same way?
Very seldom, very seldom. Has Depends on the type of book. They're my favorite book series ever, and probably favorite book. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book
Yeah.
series. I will reread those. Primarily just because it's so fun, it's so funny. The kind of quirky, absurdist English humor really gets me, and so it's a fun read. I'm not reading that to experience the story again. I'm reading it to experience the little funny commentary and funny comments again.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, I was like, gosh, I wonder if you're not hesitancy, but you just not going back to replay games is the same as books. Looks like it is.
Pretty kind of is, yeah. Been there, done that kind of situation most of the time. Do
It's
you do
this
you reread books?
I do reread books. Yeah, just like I will replay some games. There's maybe 20, 25 books that I will I have read more than 3 times in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're not long books. They're not like literary geniuses or anything, but there are some books that just, they're just like candy. I will go back and I will read them. It'll be a fun little weekend read.
Fun. Well, yeah, only I think Hitchhiker's Guide's the only one I've read several times. The whole series, any of them I've read. Yeah. They're also short. Each one is pretty short.
Hmm,
But
yeah.
anyway. All right, DJ. What do you have for us?
Number two for me is Ickenfell on the Switch. I played it on the Switch, at least. Released in 2020. So it's a retro style inspired game, but it's not that old. So give me some credit with that one. So the first thing that really drew me to it, well, there are two things that drew me to it. One is these beautiful, I hope I'm not wrong when I say 8-bit graphics. It might be 16-bit graphics, but these beautiful, colorful, pixeled characters. And these characters were all queer. They were excellent queer characters and they seemed believable, and their struggles in the game never came from being queer. So, folks saying, like, you can't have an all queer cast and have it be organic, check out Ickenfell because you absolutely can. And I think there were games before them and games after who have also developed organic queer characters as the main protagonists, but Ickenfell was my first journey into that. So it was awesome. You had folks who were not only gay or lesbian, but who were trans or non-binary or aromantic. You have one character who uses zir pronouns, and everyone knows to address this character with these pronouns, and that's it. There's 0 point made. Like you were introduced to this character, and they say, "Oh, Z over there." So it was really cool. There's no political statement with it at all. It's just these characters living their lives, and they were not one dimensional characters like in other games. It was really fun, just really awesome to see genuine queer representation in gaming. The fighting style reminded me a little bit of like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics. It's a isometric grid-based style of fighting. This was a really small grid compared to the newer Fire Emblem or something like Final Fantasy Tactics, or what was the Switch game that came out that we both played?
Live
Um,
a lie.
the grid like that too, yeah, but an even smaller grid. I think it's like 3 by 12 or something.
Oh,
Or yeah, it's like pretty tiny. So since everyone is a magician or a witch or a wizard, they're all students at a magic school, similar to the TV show The Magicians or to the Harry Potter series. There's no MP or anything. You can just use your spells as many times as you want. In fact, there's no physical attack from any of these folks because they're all magic students.
no cooldown, no limitations.
There are maybe 1 to 2 spells once you get higher levels that have 1 to 2 to 3 turn cooldown, but that's it.
Hmm.
You have folks who specialize in buffing other people. You have folks who can specialize in setting traps. You have folks who can specialize in also destroying other traps or debuffing enemies. It also has a timed button press system like in Mario RPG.
Hmm.
You can make this easier in the settings, and I totally did because I started to really suck at the battling system, and you get penalized if you do not have a perfect button press every time. Like it's hard, but fun, really rewarding. And then I wanted to make it a little bit easier for, so I did. Sorry. You heal up at the end of each battle, and everyone levels together, which I really loved. So no one ever felt like they were trying to catch up at all. It was just really a fun battle system with the music. It was half composed by Sabriel Augustin and then by this married couple, Ivy. I think I'm saying their names incorrectly. Ivy, that's Aivi, and Surashu. They're a married couple who some folks might say, oh, those names sound familiar because they did the music for Steven Universe. And
Hmm.
as the kids say, the music slaps. It's awesome. The music is super eclectic, sometimes ethereal and ambient style, and other times it introduces vocals for certain characters' themes, which was really fun. It's this excellent mashup of kind of 8-bit sounding music plus piano plus sometimes strings. Sometimes the theme music sounded a lot like Persona 5 music, especially one character, Gilda, her theme. Not to give it away, but you don't hear vocals for about the first 10 hours of music in the game. And then this character, Gilda, comes out and you start to battle her. And her theme music has lyrics, and you're like, what the hell is going on right now? It like hits you like a brick wall. I did some Googling on the music, and some folks say that a lot of the music in Ikenfell stems from traditional Canadian folk music. I'm not a scholar in that style of folk music, so I can't confirm that at all. If you're looking for a shorter game, it's about 20 hours, bright colors, awesome battle system, really excellent queer representation. This might be one to check out for you folks out there. I would love to do. I'd love to do an entire episode in the future on Ikenfell, maybe. It's just really fun.
That was great. DJ, I'm afraid you're much better at selling games and making them sound exceptional than I am. But that's okay. That's good. That you're excelling at the audio medium. I mean,
Did I
it's
sell
it's
you on the
it's
game?
like it's
Did I sell you
you're
on
selling me on
Ikenfell?
a lot of these games. I just add them to the backlog, right? But yeah, no, that sounds great. Okay, am I up?
You're up. You're number
I
one.
am up. Number one for 2023. For me, for 2023, played it in 2023, came out in 2023, but earlier in the year was Octopath Traveler 2.
Yeah.
So, as you might recall from the first episode, that was one of the first JRPGs, turn-based games that I had gotten into because this is all relatively new to me. And this was the second one in that series, and really just did everything right. I mean, the first series worked so well for me, but this one improved and perfected on it really to the nth degree. So the visuals, it's got that 2D HD, it's got that 2D 3D style, but Probably less blurriness on the margins, less of that kind of focusing on the center, and also brighter colors. So a brighter color palette than the first one saw, which I think helped it a lot. The visuals just popped, were amazing. Audio, I mean, best soundtrack, just the best soundtrack. So a lot of the tracks are the same and kind of remastered than the first one, but there's a few more additions, it seems like, and some that really get me. That Partitio theme with the saxophone. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's so good.
It
Uh
slaps. It
it
slaps. It's a
slaps so much.
banger.
That one is so good. If Max could ever play that on saxophone, uh that would just I would die. That'd be fantastic. So that one is so good. Okay, keep that in mind. Anyway, so music, another level, just another level. For those who know, they know. So let's see here. Um, and so things that are different or new that make this game even better. We talked about some of the visuals, but also let me see. So you have a day-night system now, which is it's a touch of a button, just one of the bumpers. You go from day to night, and that changes the NPCs that you can talk to. It changes your abilities that your characters have to interact with those NPCs. It sometimes changes, the creatures that you might battle. So it changes a lot, and it really adds to the exploration. You can explore a city during the day and during the night, and maybe a side quest will make you do certain things during the day and certain things during the night, or interact with somebody here and get an item and go over there, and then during the day you have to do something different. So that was a really cool addition there, I thought, and well implemented. Um, you have additional things to the stories. So you've got these side stories between two people. I think they're called path actions between two of the characters at a time. So that was a big critique of the first one: is why do we care about these eight characters? Why do we care about them when they're all kind of doing their own thing? And then maybe they come together at the end a little bit. But these path actions really allows you to have little stories that would uh, flush out the story between different characters at a time, which I thought was great. And additional banter when you would just explore, you could have additional banter between the characters. So a few little tidbits that well, I guess I'll talk about the battle system. Turn-based job system. Each character can have a couple jobs, and then there are special skills based on each job that you can get with skill points. I believe they're called there as well. And then you can mix and match skills from one job with skills from another job. And then each character, again, can hold two different jobs at once, which allows them to have access to certain weapons and certain spells and things like that. You have specialty classes, and and then there's a break system. So weaknesses based on weapon types and element damage and those kind of things can break the enemies that allow you to get extra attacks in and get more damage. It was really fun and thought provoking of how am I going to attack this person? What's the strategy? Even earlier on in the game, you had to think like that. Not just at the end with final dungeons and the like. A couple things that I want to point out that I thought were amazing were, so you kind of had, I believe in a lot of RPGs it's called the blue mage type character who equips or gains abilities by defeating different characters throughout the game, different bad guys. For this game, there's somebody like that, but it's a fighter. It's Hikari. He's almost like a blue mage. He gets additional skills that he gains by besting NPCs in one-on-one combat. Uh, and then you have a hunter that can capture the different baddies and then bring them back out to attack for her. And then you've got probably the most unique one would be the inventor class. So the inventor class was just pristine, was just so intriguing. It is a class that you only gain access to certain abilities once you collect all the resources to build a contraption. So, and then you have a little cabin in the woods that you had to find, and you would go there and you would have a literal built contraption based on the things that you had found and discovered in the world, and then you'd have a new ability to use in battle. And it was just so unique. I hadn't seen that before, and was one of my favorite uh, uh, job classes of all of them. And as I think I told DJ, I never took the inventor off of Partitio just because I couldn't get over how much I loved hearing him say, you get a catapult that allows you, which is a really strong ability, by the way. You can hit all the bad guys with of various different physical weapons. And Partitio would say, "A catapult, go, go, go." And it was the best. It never got old. I could hear it. You know, you hear them say the little things, the characters in mini games, and it gets old. Never got old. Always hit. Always fun. And so just amazing. And then up until the end, you know, you even had a final boss that was from the first game. You could do a super final boss, maybe some light spoilers there. If you do a few steps there at the end and they're extremely difficult, require you to use all the abilities and latent abilities. That's actually something else that was added to these latent abilities that each character gets, which are kind of super special powers that they can use periodically. Um, and it was kind of a highlight there. It made you really utilize everything you knew and optimize everything into every part of the battle system to succeed. And even though it took me literal days against one boss, that's the kind of thing I like. I know it sounds horrible to certain folks, potentially my fellow podcaster staring at me across the screen. But spending, even if it takes days, to perfect the system, to succeed and beat the final boss, that level of accomplishment rings true with me, and as did Octopath Traveler 2. And I digress.
I mean, it's a great game. I mean, it really is. I had a blast playing it. It is one that I unfortunately did not. And I can't tell you the reason why. I mean, I really don't know why I didn't continue playing it. And I'm trying to think back to February of last year because it was a lot of fun. I liked it way more than the first game. I'm sorry, I failed you as a gaming partner. I just
You won't offend me. If you don't like it, you don't offend me.
no, I did. I actually really liked it. I never finished it. I don't know
I
why.
mean, you're wrong, but you won't offend me.
Cool, cool to hear. Oh, that's a
Okay.
good one. So, I mean, if y'all out there listen to the first episode, you know my top game of the year is Star Ocean 2, the second story R. But since we already did an episode on that, I picked a new number one, and keeping with the trend of my top games that I played in 2023 that were not released in 2023, my number one game, Persona 4 Golden. I played it on the Switch. It was originally released in 2008, just as Persona 4, and then it got its golden release, which is something that has been a trend with the Persona games since 3, I think, is that they get a release and then a year or 2 or 3 years later they get an enhanced release with 15 to 30 hours more of content. I think. I'm not a pro at playing the Persona games. I'm kind of playing them backward in a way. I started with 5. That was my first official Persona game, and I absolutely adored every single thing about it, especially the characters and the gameplay and the music. So I was a little apprehensive to work backward, uh, especially for the gameplay mechanics, but they weren't bad at all in Persona 4 Golden, and I think they still hold up. It's traditional turn-based, and if anybody has played any other Persona game or the SMT game, Sam, I know you played number 5. It has the whole system. If you get a weakness, you get another turn. That's in the Persona games as well. Ah,
The push turn system.
is that what it's
Some
called?
might say. Some people call it that, I think.
Push turn?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's I would call it a push turn system. I think it still holds up. I've always
it's
heard that
fun.
the characters
I
that
I was just gonna say I like it a lot. I mean, especially in SMP 5, I love the push turn system.
yeah, it makes it really fun. It makes it engaging. I don't know another system that does that outside of Shin Megami Tensei. Broadly
And
speaking,
they're
SMT.
related, right?
Oh
So
yeah, they totally are.
yeah.
Persona is a spinoff of SMT. I've always heard that the characters were better in 4 than they were in 5, and now that I've experienced 4, I have to say I kind of agree. Even though I love the Persona 5 characters, the teens in Golden seem more relatable and less anime tropey, but just a touch less anime tropey. I love the foggy atmosphere in the small town and the murder mystery story. It was giving Twin Peaks, which is a super bizarre show from the 90s. I'm not a huge lover of the social sim, dating sim in games. So I actually enjoyed that there was less of this than there was in Persona 5. Because again, I'm working myself backwards. So there's going to be fewer and fewer of those social sim mechanics. I like to get to know the characters and my party members, but I don't really care about dating them. I don't know. Maybe if they're, I thought like maybe if there was a queer option, I'd feel differently, but I wouldn't. I'm just not interested in the dating mechanic very much at all. The only the only benefit to not even to dating someone, but to building a relationship in at least Persona 5 and 4, because those are the only ones I can speak for, is that your teammates' personas evolve to a better persona if you get them to rank 10. So
Oh,
so there is benefit. There's like a game mechanic benefit to spending time with them because you get a more powerful persona. Persona. You know. So the music. So just like in Ickenfell, the music was written with the specific characters and their storylines in mind, meaning that certain locations or atmospheres would have these little like light motifs, which would instantly set the mood. 60 hours in, if you hear the first four notes of something, a character is about to walk on screen, which is pretty cool. The music in P4 is more pop rock. I think people classify it as J-pop, and I would say there's some definite funk thrown into it. This took me a little bit to get used to because I came from the more like acid jazz inspired music that was in Persona 5. So I do like the music better more. Huh. I do like the music more in Persona 5 than Persona 4. There's some queer-ish characters in Persona 4, and I won't spoil anything because I think it's worth experiencing. That if the game was made in 2024, I think they would have leaned into it a lot more. For a game that came out originally in 2008, I think they leaned into the queerness as much as they could without upsetting their mostly straight fan base. And I don't say that as an apologist for anything that could be interpreted as kind of offensive in Persona 4, because there are definitely some character beats that could have been handled in different, maybe more mindful ways. So, but that being said, it was cool to see them flirt with the idea of queerness in a game that came out so long ago. The game is long, not as long as Persona 5. I think I clocked 80 hours or so in it. It's long, but if you're looking for excellent characters, super good story, a murder mystery, banging music, fun battle system, you have to at least try this game. I would I wouldn't say maybe I like it better than Persona 5 Royal. I don't know.
ooh.
That's a bold statement. I don't know if I can. I don't
You're
know if
you're coming out with the bold statements with the Earthbound one and the Persona 5. This is good though. This is good. We're looking for engagement, so get the people riled up.
I'm gonna get
Just
them
just
so pissed off at me. I'm like, Earthbound sucks. No, it doesn't. I love it. Oh, Persona
either that
5
or we're just gonna
sucks.
get completely knocked off the map and nobody will be like, those guys are stupid.
Those guys are dumb. No, I, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about P5 or P4. I will say I exclusively went back to play Persona 4 after I heard they were remaking Persona 3, which by the time this episode comes out, I don't think Persona 3 will be re-released yet,
But close.
but it'll be really close, and that is absolutely the next big game I'm going to devote a lot of time to.
Well, very good. That kind of takes us into the next part. Were you done talking about Persona 4?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So that's a good segue into our next part. It's what did we miss in 2023, or what are we kind of playing next that might have been missed in 2023? So for myself, what I am looking forward to playing, maybe catching up from 2023 or just into 2024, which will be more in our next episode. But for me, I need to finish Sea of Stars. I played probably 12, 15 hours of that, loved it. Just kind of got into a few other things, and need to get back into it. So that'll be a big one. This is from the RPG kind of standpoint and turn-based. So Super Mario RPG, turn-based RPG, classic. Would love to play that. And then Baldur's Gate 3, that's the other game of the year, fantastic game that everybody was talking about. Sadly, I wanted to play it on PC, potentially with you, my friend. And
Woo!
so waiting to get an actual PC that can run that game. But I would be so stoked, so excited to play Baldur's Gate 3 at some point. Some non-RPG or likely, I guess, mostly non-RPG, or at least not turn-based, would be I really want to play Pikmin 4. As this goes on, people might see me as a little bit of a Nintendo fanboy. I'm okay with that characterization. Uh, I'm not going to take offense to that. I've never played a Pikmin game though. But I thought it looked like a lot of fun. So I'll probably get Pikmin 4 and play that. Lies of P, I believe is how you pronounce it. That looked like a lot of fun. A little bit like a Souls-like, and looked fun to me. And then Armored Core 6. So I haven't played any of the Armored Cores either. Let's keep this trend going. But a mech that you can fly around and equip additional, weapons and armor and other things too, and it just looked like a blast. So if I ever had the time to get into that game, I think that would be a fun one for me.
That's fun. I also need to finish Sea of Stars. I think I also got about 12 or 15 hours into it. And then my adult job of being an opera singer took over, and I just had rehearsals that I had like 10-hour a day rehearsals where I did not have time to play a game, unfortunately. So I need to jump back in. I wouldn't mind even restarting it. It was pretty fun. Uh, I also want to play Baldur's Gate 3. I hear it's really similar to one of my Favo games, Dragon Age Origins. So would love to experience another Dragon Age Origins type game. I also want to play Eastward, which is an action RPG that I believe was released just on the Switch. It plays, I think, like a Zelda game, like an old SNES Zelda game. Yeah.
It's not just on the Switch now.
It's not. Oh,
I think I downloaded it on Game Pass for Xbox.
oh,
I just
nice.
haven't played it. I just haven't played it.
I bought it for Switch and I just haven't played it yet. It was on sale like around Christmas time, so I bought it just in
I
case.
kind of love the visuals and the color palette of that. Just kind of the sorry, yeah, but yes.
Yeah, no, it looks really cool, right? Maybe I mean, it's an RPG technically. Maybe we review that later.
I'm down. I'm
You
down.
know? Some non-RPGs. I feel like I need, since my other genre of games that I love to play are like horror games, like scary games. I feel like I need to play both the Alan Wake games since the second one just came out. You know,
To
the
rave reviews.
the great reviews, the remaster of the original trilogy of Tomb Raider comes out on Switch in February, and I'm really excited about that. Those were my favorite games back in middle school, and not just because of like polygon boobs. Honestly, I wasn't even that
Shocker.
excited for the boobs. Yeah, shocker, I know. I just downloaded A Space for the Unbound, which is not an RPG, but it adjacently maybe could be considered one, but it's not really because there's no battling in it.
I don't
But
think I've ever heard of it.
it's like a slice of life. I think it's probably 5 to 7 hours long. It's pixel, of course. You should look it up. It looks really intriguing. I had a buddy tell me it was their favorite game of 2023, like a sleeper hit.
Ooh,
So I'm
ooh.
gonna look it up. I Sam, I don't want to leave you in the dust here. I said I have some games that I'm looking forward to for 2024. Also,
Talk about them. I mean, that'll be most of our next episode,
it's
but
true,
give
it's
them
true.
give them a teaser.
Give you a little teaser, some games I'm looking forward to. Persona 3 Reload,
Whoop.
the Golden Sun games that are going to be released by the time this episode comes out. They will definitely be released on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. And those are the teasers. There are a few more, but I don't want to give away the whole episode of episode 3.
So tune in,
So
episode
tune in
three.
episode 3. Oh,
Well,
we are
very good.
oh yeah, we're gonna do a really fun thing, as many episodes as we can, either called a music moment or a medical moment. So we're going to do a medical moment here with Dr. Sam. And why don't you take it away?
Okay, so this will be our medical moment. I have a type of medical background myself, but this is not meant to diagnose, treat, prevent uh, any sort of illness, medical anything. See your medical provider if you have any sort of concerns. Disclaimer, 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 just for funsies. Trying to find some sort of um, connection between games that we all love so much and some medical aspect of it. So Octopath Traveler 2, this is where the inroad will be, was my game of the year, 2023. One of the characters, Cassie, was the apothecary. So you might think, yeah, she's medical in some sense, doctor or pharmacist almost. But the angle I want to take is she experiences an oh so common trope in RPGs of having amnesia. She just forgets everything that happened to her. Where is she from? What's she do? She knows the clothes that she's wearing. She has some kind of medical knowledge. She remembers those things, but she doesn't know who she is or where she came from or what her goal is. So what is that? And when does that happen? So in general, amnesia most broadly is going to be your loss of memory, inability to form memories, could be transient, short-lived, could be permanent sometimes. So areas of the brain that might be involved, hippocampus, largely involved in our episodic memory. Some other areas, throwing out names, amygdala, temporal lobe, prefrontal cortex, other areas can be involved too. Great. So then you have retrograde versus anterograde. So retrograde is going to be mostly what we're referring to. So it's behind memories in the past. You're forgetting things that had happened before. That's going to be what we see in most video games. Then you do have anterograde. So you're unable to form new memories. That can happen. Think, I guess, most like the movie Memento. He can't make new memories, ends up tattooing things all over himself. Interesting strategy. It's been a while since I saw that one, but it was a very intriguing show. Then why does this happen? So, in general, why could you lose your memory? Why could you forget things? It's a pretty broad number of things that could happen. You could have an injury. You could have trauma. You could have a traumatic brain injury, right? You could even concussions. People are going to forget things around those sometimes if they're bad enough. Traumatic brain injuries from car accidents, those kind of things. People can definitely lose chunks of memory. You could have a stroke, which would be, damage from a number of ways that you can have stroke, but damage to areas of the brain, and that can affect memory aspects of the brain. So then you might not remember things. Seizures. So people that have seizures, they have a postictal state sometimes, which is just a fancy term for they're confused, they're maybe more tired and lethargic right afterwards, and that's very common. And then they might not remember things that happened after it or sometimes before they had that seizure. You could have low oxygen. Maybe you have a number of reasons that you have low blood oxygen, and then you're not getting enough oxygen to the brain. So then you're not thinking as clearly. You're not remembering things as clearly. So you may not form memories and you may then forget things. You can have infections. So we see folks all the time. They might have pneumonia. You might have a urinary tract infection, whatever. And maybe you're septic. That infection is spreading. It's causing this whole response to your whole body. And you are out of it and you are not going to remember things. Or it could be a focal infection in your brain. You could have a meningitis or an encephalitis. So that could be an infection around the brain or an infection in the brain. And those things can make it so people also can't form memories or forget things. Um, so metabolic things, so maybe your blood sugar is low, and so, or maybe your blood sodium is low or your blood calcium is low. All those things can make you confused in general, and therefore less likely to form memories. So adjacent to amnesias, but maybe not exactly the same things. You have your dementias, and that's a whole giant different category. But these folks aren't going to remember things as well, right? And aren't going to be able to form memories as well. So that is definitely involved. Medications or substances. So alcohol, people can black out. People can be so drunk that they cannot form new memories. They don't remember things. Certain medications. So you might know of individuals that have had a colonoscopy or other procedures that require twilight sedation or things like that. So they're not even completely out, but they're not going to have a memory of what happened. And then other drugs and substances can definitely do this. So let's see. And then the last one that's probably most similar to what we see in video games would be dissociative amnesia or dissociative fugue sometimes. So these would be states that the people generally it's retrograde or prior events, and you have amnesia to that. You don't remember what happened. And there's none of the above, basically. You didn't have a stroke. You didn't have traumatic brain injury. You didn't most of those things. You didn't have kind of the physical damage, metabolic infections, other things going on, yet you have lost your memories. And again, this is what we see so often in our RPGs is our protagonist, you start the story, you don't know anything, so the character doesn't know anything. What happened? Why are you here? And the fugue part is kind of um, an unexpected travel or wandering when you're in this dissociated state or this state where you're not going to remember things. And that also very commonly happens. Casty in the Octopath 2 is, I believe, in a boat just somewhere and just washes ashore and doesn't remember anything else. So she ends up in a different area also. So that's kind of what that fugue is. It's that wandering, it's that travel aspect of it also. So, I did find this can be a controversial subject when you don't find other reasons why they might not have memory. Why did they forget these things? However, I did find some studies based on twin studies and just different polymorphisms in genes related to neurotransmitters that lead to higher propensity to these dissociative amnesias. And so does seem to be some sort of genetic or biologic component, but then also there's a triggering event, and this is commonly portrayed in our RPGs as some sort of traumatic event
Yep.
that leads to loss of those memories. So the seems like the most recent um, understanding is that some people have a genetic biologic component or predisposition, and then you have that triggering event that might lead them to um, forget things and have this dissociative amnesia. So yeah, so that's kind of what's happening primarily in our games. And then treatment wise, especially, the first multiple reasons, there's infections, there's other things, you treat those obviously differently. But when we get to dissociative amnesia, um, not a whole lot of treatments that I saw out there. So, maybe just go on a quest, you
Oh
know?
my God.
No, kidding. Kidding. Do not. That is not medical advice. I am joking. Do not wander and go somewhere. If you're having problems with your memory, please see a doctor. Do not wander and go somewhere else and go on a quest. Bad plan. Please do not do that. That was absolutely in jest. So anyway, but I thought that was something fun to look into. So commonly used as a trope as the beginning stages of our RPGs, and so fun to come at it from that angle.
I mean, it was used in two of the six games we discussed today. Didn't Link have amnesia? At least in the first game, right?
In the first
Maybe.
one, he does, and in the second one, not really in the second one, but in the first one,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and the main character Gen in God has amnesia. No, and then other games, I'm thinking like Cloud in Final Fantasy VII has amnesia. Almost the entire cast of Final Fantasy VIII has amnesia. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a wiki article that literally, so not even just the main character has amnesia, but amnesia is a big part of the game, and there are 106 of them.
Wow, I would love to
And
see.
it's 6, 7, and 8 for Final Fantasy, I believe.
Oh God. Oh
And then
yes,
it's like,
sixes too. That's right.
yeah. So it's and that's not, again, it's not even just the main character has amnesia. It is a major part of the game, and 106 of them are on that wiki.
I would love to see how many of those are RPGs at some point. Not now.
I can link it to you,
Perfect.
or
Great.
you can Google it. It's easy to find.
I already have it pulled up right now, but I will look at that later. Sam, what are you playing right now, and on what system? What gamer games are you playing right now, and on what consoles?
I am currently playing um Fire Emblem Engage still on Switch, and not really anything. I guess Sea of Stars is the most recent one I've played on my Xbox. So that's the one I need to jump back into. Or I guess that's a little bit false. I did play some Steam World Build on my Xbox also, which is a city builder dungeon crawler combo kind of.
Not for me.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you up to, DJ? What are you playing?
I'm still casually playing through Final Fantasy 13 on Steam, and I just downloaded A Space for the Unbound, which is not, again, not really an RPG, but it's going to be a quick 5 to 7 hour adventure that tides me over until you and I both start playing Golden Sun this weekend.
I I very well might. I think that's true.
I think we will. I can't let the episode go without acknowledging our one person who voted in our poll on our first episode who asked. I asked what game should we cover, and they said Live Alive. You say Live Alive. Is that the correct way to say it?
No idea if that's
No,
correct.
no, we'll find it out.
Don't
So we're
don't
gonna
I
we're gonna
yeah.
honor.
I don't claim to be a professional in that sort of pronunciation.
I don't either. So we hear you, viewer out there. We had more than one viewer. We hear you, viewer, though, and so we are totally going to cover Live Alive in a future episode. Funny that they mentioned that. That was one of the first RPGs that you and I started playing together, which,
At the same yeah, at the
and
same
at the
time.
same time, which probably gave you
And
the.
both loved.
Oh,
Spoiler.
I played it. I played it again in 2023, just so you know.
I did not, but I loved it.
I loved it, and I thought about including it in my top three, but since we're going to do an episode on it, I figured I'd wait for it. Yeah.
Well, very good. Yep. So looking forward, next episode will be mostly what are we thinking about playing, excited to play in 2024. And so that'll be it for today. So as we always say, when everything in the world points right, maybe go left and see what you find. I'm
Yeah.
Sam.
I'm DJ. Thanks for listening to Turn-Based Besties, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.